So it's approaching mid-September here, and this is our Waltham butternut squash trellis. We got 2 horse panels stacked side by side, and all of the butternuts on this squash trellis are Waltham variety. If you look real close, you can see that the vines are starting to die back. The flesh on the butternut is nice and tan. The only thing that I'm not super happy about is that the stems haven't had a true chance to turn brown and harden off. But I'm a little bit too worried about losing these to cold temperatures. It would be horrible to lose all of this hard work to a frost. I really like this one on the trellis here, hanging in the middle of the air like this. It was cool to see the vines. The vines started from the ground, and then by July, the vines were all the way at the top, and some by the end of August were going over the trellis themselves. Another way you can kind of tell that they're ready is when you push in on them with your fingernail, there's no give. So they've kind of done all of the curing that we can get to before the danger of the frost. They're dense, they're solid. It's kind of like giving them a haircut. But if I had to say how much this weighed, this is probably like 3 pounds, maybe. This thing's closer to 5 pounds. Last winter, my father-in-law had grown these in his garden, and they lasted so well in his basement, just kind of like sitting in a cardboard box. And I'm hoping that with the right curing, that's what will happen to these. Another thing that was good is the girls kind of ate them. Like, they didn't hesitate in eating these. We just cubed them up and we threw them in the oven and roasted them until they got nice and they had a caramelized skin to them. It was delicious. And they're dense. Heavy. This Waltham variety did so well. Another cool thing about this variety is it resists the squash vine borer. So we lost half of our pumpkin crop to squash vine borer. Plus these were cool to just watch grow. Every week I would come out here and sort of help the vines attach to the trellis. And it was just a lot of fun to see the new growth. Actually, like every day, you could see new growth on the trellis. But that's the cool thing about this variety. This one had squash bugs all over it. Not all over it. There was like 5 of them, but they can't pierce. They can't pierce that dense rind. So this makes this really good for pest-resistant crop. Oh, the stem got all wacky on me. Last winter from our garden, we had green beans and squash noodles, but those are really the only 2 vegetables that survived, or that put up enough for the winter. So just having more variety this year is going to be nice, between the cabbage and the butternut squash and the different type of squashes, the broccoli, the green beans, the wax beans. Alright, so here's our little harvest of Waltham butternut squashes. We got 22 in total, and I'm guessing it's close to 50 pounds in weight. That's pretty cool. I know these keep so well. I know they keep very easily in your basements, and so I'm looking forward to storing these and using them throughout the winter and the spring up until our next harvest. Next I'm going to harvest the burpy Butterbush variety. This is one that grew low to the ground. I thought it was going to need a trellis, but the bushes actually only grew about 4 feet in length. So they did just fine on the ground, and the trellis kind of just kept all of the vegetation in this area. So the trellis still helped, but it wasn't needed. Ooh, we got some ants killing our... Oh, that's not cool. We had some ants trying to get into this. Large carpenter ants definitely got into the stem on this one. So we're gonna have to eat this one pretty quick. Darn. I hope that's not the case for all of them. They definitely are curing. They're farther along in their curing phase because they're smaller. The stems are just about solid wood right now. I'm hoping that we can get to around 40 squashes. And speaking of squash vine borer, what did I find but a squash vine borer right here? Gosh darn it. Just crawling out and about. Bummer. This is the squash vine borer. I didn't have this problem with the Walthams, but this little wiggly guy was coming out of one of the butternuts. I noticed there was a damage on one of the squashes, and here's this little guy wiggling around, crawling out of the exit wound. So I'm going to throw him on the ground, make sure he doesn't reproduce, and I'll show you the damage. I'm not even sure if this is where it came out of, but this Butterbush this one's shot, unfortunately, I think. Now maybe we'll be able to eat it later today or something like that, but it's got some pretty bad damage on it. Something that I'm noticing immediately is that, and this is what's great about vertical gardening, the squash that's on the ground, there's much more pest activity affecting these butternuts, than the Waltham variety that were vertical on the trellis. Here's our Burpee Butterbush haul. We got 27 of them. I will say that we had about 8 or so, maybe 10 extra, but they were damaged by ants or whatever pest that was crawling on the ground. Our eating pumpkins were a bit of a learning process this year. We've got 2 of them sitting on the ground right here, and they're a good size. But we lost, I'm gonna say, 50 to 75% of our trellis of pumpkins due to squash vine borer this year. So it is kind of cool seeing the pumpkins grow up vertically on the trellis. They're the fastest growing thing on a trellis, so like by early July they were at the top of the trellis. It was kind of cool seeing them there and helping them go up. You had like a green little canopy. It was kind of fun. But these are Harvest Moon hybrid pumpkins. Harvest Moon hybrid pumpkins that you can eat. And we fully intend on eating them. What's wrong?
A mosquito's right in my hand. I mean, wasp.
Oh, wasp.
Wasp was right.
I don't want to hurt you. Don't worry. You walk past it. There's another batch of them too, the bigger ones. I'll show you where they are. Hey, buddy. We're done. Go inside. Okay, Avery's trying to do math homework. What's going on? You got a table full of squash there. This is our Burpee Butterbush, our Waltham, and also our Harvest Moon hybrid haul for the season. There's a lot of pounds of food. This is gonna give us something special to eat through the winter. And Avery's doing her math homework right now. What do you think, Avery? Not your style. Okay, all right, great. Yep, so here's our Burpee Butterbush. Again, a smaller variety. It was on the ground, so it was exposed to a heck of a lot more pest damage. This is our Waltham variety. It grew vertically on the trellises and it did so well. There's very little insect damage and the squash are enormous. Thanks for watching this video.
Please like, comment, and subscribe, but most of all,
We hope you enjoyed watching this video and we'll keep stopping by
where we'll build
Whoa, and adventure.
together at